With me is Chloe Cole, and Chloe, we first met in South Carolina last year, but I said I'm going to get you to New Zealand, and you and your brother are coming to New Zealand. First time visit?
Yeah, I mean the farthest I've been across the globe was the Philippines, which is actually where my mother comes from, but
Mm,
I've never really been quite that far. So
mm.
I'm very excited to see what it's like.
Chloe, for those who don't know, you're 19. How did you get into the important work that you're doing? So explain to them why we've invited you over.
Yeah, so really this journey has started with my own personal experiences as a child. And I am somebody who went through the process of a medical and social gender transition between the ages of 12 to 16. Um, After years of going through an early puberty and experiencing issues with my body image and just being a tomboy and frankly, really just a normal, nerdy kind of girl, I started wanting to run away from the things that made me a woman. And I learned about the transgender community online and this idea that I could escape all of that, that there was a way of fixing myself on
Mm,
the outside in order to feel okay on the inside. Um, And so I started calling myself a boy. I came out to my mom and dad, and eventually they decided because they didn't really know what to do about this, that they would start sending me to a
mm,
therapist.
mm,
And they thought what that meant was that I'd be getting help with my mental health, with these feelings, and I would just be allowed to be a kid in the meanwhile. But what they didn't expect was that my doctors, my physicians, my psychologists would only go along with this idea and facilitate an actual medical gender transition for me.
mm,
And they told my mom and dad that there wasn't any other choice. They said that it was basically going to be life or death for me because this was my
mm,
identity. They told them that if I wasn't allowed to go through this, then I would be at risk of suicide.
mm,
And when you're a mother or a father and you're told by your child's own physicians, by their own psychologists, the people who are supposed to be helping you raise them,
mm,
that they could die. What wouldn't you do to help them?
mm,
So at just 13 years old, at 13 and a half, I had my puberty suppressed with a medication called Lupron, and that had basically sent me into an early artificial menopause. And just after that, they put me on testosterone injections. And at 15 years old, they removed my breast surgically. I stopped transitioning at 16 after years of starting to deal with complications from all these procedures and realizing that no matter how far I went down this path, it would never actually make me into a man. And it wasn't making me happy.
mm,
I also had this epiphany that I wanted to become a mother, that I had this maternal instinct that I didn't really feel was being fostered over the years because I
mm,
wasn't just allowed to live in my own element as a tomboyish girl. And it was very difficult for me to go through
mm,
the detransition because I lost all my support from my doctors. I wasn't getting any help from them during this time, even with things as
mm,
simple as like knowing how to stop hormones, what my health would look like from here on, or even just
mm,
doing like routine blood tests to check my hormone levels.
mm,
Um, and it was a very lonely experience. I was in my last year of high school and I didn't have any friends. I didn't really have any friends anymore in the trans community because they felt threatened by me.
mm,
But I started to meet a lot of other people who had detransitioned and had experiences very similar to mine. And with the friendships that I was building with these people and hearing about their experiences, I felt like I had a responsibility to get myself together and to
mm,
start advocating for us because if I didn't know who else would. And with a unique story like mine, and with at the time the national, international conversation around this starting to pick up, I felt like it was a great opportunity to step in. And
mm,
I didn't expect it to really get as big as it has.
mm,
Um, but I just started talking on X, which was then known as Twitter, But very quickly, I had like a lot of people following me, and a lot of other detransitioners, and families and parents who are being affected by this as well, reaching out to me.
Mm.
And eventually, I was invited out to speak on legislation that would protect children from what happened to me ever happening again. And since
Mm.
then, I've done that countless times, and I've spoken in various communities across the US, in churches, at family events, to youth groups with organizations like Turning Point USA and Young America's Foundation, various colleges, and it's been a wonderful
Mm.
experience.
Well, we're going to, at the conference, spend more time talking about that, you and I on stage, sharing your story and finding out, the background and where you're headed. Just finally, what do you think is going to be your key message to New Zealanders as you share? What do you want to leave them with? What thought do you want them to go away having heard you?
Um, my key message. Well, there's a lot of there's a lot of ways that I could go with that,
Mm.
but I mean, my primary message is that this this practice is abusive. It
Mm.
has no place in pediatrics. No adult has any right to manipulate or mutilate or sterilize a child
Mm.
electively. And every single part of this is elective. It is not based in science. But these children and these young men and women deserve much better care.
Mm.
And we need to be compassionate to them, to their struggles, and guide them towards a better way of life. We have to give them a reason not to go straight into transitioning. And to be compassionate is not necessarily to give in to what somebody else wants.
Mm.
Sometimes it's about what they need.
Yep.
And we need to continue spreading this message, to continue speaking about what is going on in our institutions, in healthcare, in our own communities, to our families, to our children. And it's not going to be easy, but it's not about easy.
No.
It's about what matters.
Chloe, we were really looking forward to you being in New Zealand, first time. So we'll show you the best of New Zealand, and you'll see the best of New Zealand people who will be attending the conference. So pack your bags. Looking forward to seeing you in July.
Thank you so much.